Thank you very much. Um, Welcome back from the break. My name is Bas Kempen. I'm with ISRIC World Soil Information, based here in Wageningen. And since 2020, ISRIC is leading the project Soils4Africa with the objective to provide an open access soil information system with a set of key indicators and underpinning soil data that is accompanied by with methodologies for repeated soil monitoring across the continent. And with the data that we are collecting in this project, we hope to provide a baseline assessment of the state of soils of Africa's agricultural land that then can be used for monitoring soil change in the near future. This project was a collaborative idea of the African Union and the European Union on their sustainable food security strategy. So we started in 2020, and the project will finish in May this year. So in this presentation, I will explain a little bit about how we set up a continental sampling design to support soil monitoring. I will highlight the current progress where we are now, and I'll also show plus slides with the soil information system that we're setting up and that we hope to release by the end of May this year. So the project aims to collect soil samples from 20,000 locations across Africa's agricultural land. And then agricultural land defined in a broad sense. So not only cropland, but also grazing land, agroforestry, etc. In addition, we have what we call 250 reference sites, for which we dig mini pits and do a few more elaborate assessments of the soil, looking at soil diagnostics, sampling for pesticide residues and bulk density, for instance. We take samples at two depths, it is 0 to 20 and 20 to 50 layer, so the same as was done years ago under the ASIS project. But we also assess the rootable soil depth up to 1.20 meters at each site. Field data and the lab analyses, we analyze with wet chemistry as well as spectroscopy with consistent methods. And we provide the surveys, manuals, SOPs, but we also provide videos with instructions for data collection. We analyze a large set of properties, physical chemical properties, nutrients, heavy metals, pesticide residues. In total, 46 properties are analyzed with wet chemistry, of which are currently 20 are now modeled also with the spectroscopy. We analyze presence of over 150 pesticide compounds. And when we are at the sampling site, we take about observations of about 43 attributes, variables related to terrain, land cover, erosion, and land use and management. So we're collecting a really rich data set in this project. Before we started sampling, the project defined a couple of conditions that we should take into account when we are collecting these soil samples across the entire continent. Like I said, agricultural land, broadly defined. We developed this map and use that as a basis for our sampling design with the different colors indicating different types of agricultural land. About 8.8 million square kilometers. So it's huge. We wanted to take composite samples. So our field sampling unit was a 5 by 5 meter square, in which we took 4 samples at these 2 depths, which we then mixed and sent a composite sample of each step to the laboratory in South Africa. We selected our sampling units with probability sampling because it has optimal statistical properties to establish baselines. It's not easy to implement a probability sampling design, but we thought it would be worthwhile to try. And for operational efficiency, because we had to cover a huge continent with this field campaign, we wanted also to cluster some locations so that if a survey arrives at a certain location, he can do a couple of locations that are within, say, walking distance. And we also stratified our sampling locations based on farming system. We have an updated farming system map with 42 classes and country. So our starting point was this map. So our sample population is composed of 900 million 1 hectare, 100 by 100 meter pixels that we classified as agricultural land. So we cluster these into the blocks of 2 by 2 kilometers in a way that so that each cluster contains between 1 and 400 agricultural land pixels, and each pixel belongs to only one cluster. And then we stratify these clusters according to farming system in such a way that each cluster can only belong to one strata for our sampling design. And then our field sampling units, I already explained, we had a small blocks of 5 by 5 meters from which we took 4 samples, which means that each of these 1 hectare agricultural land pixels contains about 400 of these non-overlapping, that was important, non-overlapping 5 by 5 meter blocks. So basically what we ended up with, given the requirements that we have a nested sampling design composed of 3 levels. We have the 2 by 2 kilometer clusters, which are the primary sampling units. Then we have the 100 by 100 meter agricultural land pixels from the map that you showed in the previous slide. Those are the secondary sampling units. And then we have the 5 by 5 meter, I call them here, field sampling units, the tertiary sampling units. It's a bit of a complicated design that was the result of the requirements that were put down. So how did we then go about for having a design is nice, but then at one point you start also selecting actual locations for sampling. So we started by selecting these 2 by 2 kilometer blocks or clusters. We selected them with a probability proportional to size, because the agricultural land surface differed between clusters, because not all areas within a cluster is agricultural land. And of course, we wanted to have a situation in which if we have more agricultural land in a 2 by 2 kilometer cluster, indicated by the red square there in the lower right corner, that you then have also higher probability of being included for sampling. We also ensured spatial coverage, so we have quite an even spatial distribution across the areas that we sample. And in total, we selected 5,000 of these primary sampling units, 5,000 clusters distributed across countries proportional to the area classified as agricultural land in each country. Once we had these, we selected 4 in each cluster, 4 secondary units, so 4 of these 1 hectare pixels. And once we done that, within each of these 4, we selected 1 5 by 5 field sampling unit. We took a composite sample consisting of 4 subsets. We'll skip that last point here. We did that, and then you will get the map that you see here on the right. Those are the 5,000 clusters that we selected across the agricultural land. But some areas were excluded, areas with security issues, protected areas such as national parks that also sometimes ended up in the sample population. And also we excluded areas that were only very extensively used. Those of the very remote areas, poorly accessible areas. Where are we now? Like I said, the project is ending in May, so we have about 2 months left. We have now sampled 13,600 locations across the continent. The initial target was 20,000, but we reduced that to 15,000 because of some time and budget constraints that we had. The countries that were sampled, you see them on the map on the right. Campaign is currently still in progress in Morocco, Algeria, and Angola. We have now about 1,600 samples analyzed with wet chemistry, 11,000 samples analyzed spectrally, 250 samples analyzed for pesticide residues. So the data is still, say, trickling in, but we have now enough data to start doing some analyses or producing some. We're looking at statistics for different geographic domains, creating some maps. So that is what we're working on now. So it's a very rich data source that we are collecting. And we can do a lot of nice research with that. Then, of course, a major objective of the project was to set up a soil information system, a continental soil information system. We took a modular approach to that. So the system is built composed of various separate components that we bring that talk to each other in the back end, that we bring together in a homepage from which the user can access the data in different ways. A couple of slides to give you a little bit of flavor. So the homepage gives you access to the different components that we have. There is a geospatial data catalog with about almost 90 continental environmental data sets relevant for agriculture that you can, there's metadata, you can download all these data. It's all open data. We have a WebGIS for data discovery and exploration. The field data from the project is also included there. You can visit the points, look at the pictures that the surveyors took, etc. And then there's a data dashboard. This is still work in progress, but this dashboard gives overviews of the data collected, some figures with summaries. There is a data download section. The field pictures are all available. There are some filtering mechanisms. So it's evolving quite a rich environment. My last slide. Couple of conclusions. Soils4Africa project delivers a unique continent-wide set of soil data of representative of Africa's agricultural land. All the samples were collected and analyzed with consistent methodology. I think that is also unique for this project. And primarily used for soil assessment at regional and continental level. The SIS is under development and it's expected to be launched on the 31st of May this year. Field data are available or already available through the SIS. Analytical data are expected to be released in about a year from now because data is still coming in and we expect data to come in after the project ends. And we will start a very nice follow-up in July, in which we further develop the system that the soil information system that we developed in this project into an Africa Union soil observatory under the new EU Horizon project assessment of soil health in Africa that will run for 5 years starting in July. So that's it from my side for now on the project. Thank you very much.